All right. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Launch Notes podcast. I'm Blake from Launch Notes. Really excited to be joined today by Sarah Aleksich. Sarah's lead product marketing manager at Popmenu, which is a super exciting startup right now. She built the product marketing function there from the ground up, has doubled their team size in under a year, I believe. PMM team there is supporting, I believe she told me, up to a dozen product squads at a given time, which is super exciting. A lot of, great lessons in terms of scale and hypergrowth there that I think we can dive into. And I think it'll be super valuable to product teams listening today. Sarah, welcome to the podcast. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks, Blake. Super excited to be here and chat with you about all things product marketing.
Maybe I'm super excited to dive into Popmenu because I think you guys have a great story there. But maybe before we get into that, can you give us the quick kind of bio on your background, how you got into product marketing in the first place?
Yeah, it's interesting because I obviously, listen to lots of these podcasts and hear my fellow product marketers talk about how you got into product marketing. I think the general theme is there's no kind of right path, that everyone kind of finds their way into it. And my story is relatively similar. I started out as a generalist. I've always been super curious. And so I really wanted to kind of build that marketing toolkit. I think I'm a brand marketer at heart, even though I now play a product marketer. So I've done lots of brand marketing, experiential, demand gen, content, digital, kind of really always had roles that would allow me to kind of learn a new tool and then add that to my toolkit. And then when I got to a point in my career where I thought, I have this really great generalist kind of skill set. I can go in and pinch hit. You need me to do PR, I can do it. You need me to run a rebrand, I can do it. But I'd really like to kind of double down and develop more of a depth of experience in a particular discipline. And it just so happened that I was at my first SaaS company at that point in a product marketing role, super small team. So it was through the product marketing lens, but we were still doing rebranding and running digital campaigns and doing PR. And so it was a generalist role in a product marketing through a product marketing lens. And so since then, I've just really pursued roles that would allow me to kind of build more expertise in product marketing, not losing sight of how product marketing intersects with all those other disciplines, of course, but just really building out that product marketing expertise.
That's really exciting to hear. And I think some great lessons in there, especially on kind of working your way into product marketing. And it sounds like you kind of had an eye toward it, or were able to kind of build some product marketing experience maybe in those early roles, and maybe even before your job title had product marketing in it. And I think that's such good advice. I mean, I've had a couple conversations with folks younger in their careers over the last year who are interested in breaking into PMM, and maybe they're in, maybe a more generalist marketing manager role, or they're in some other role. They're trying to kind of break into product marketing. And my kind of evergreen advice has always been like, you can kind of take whatever role you have now and start applying a product marketing lens to it. Like you could be in PR and get a little closer to product. You could be in brand and get a little closer to product. Like you can roll up your sleeves, learn the product, align yourself closer with the folks who are building it and marketing those specific features and that platform. And there's a real opportunity to just sort of charge in and sort of take the initiative yourself. You don't always have to ask for permission, but a lot of it's just sort of showing the initiative, developing some fluency around the product that the company's selling, and then you're kind of off to the races. So that's a really cool background.
Absolutely. I've actually seen that too. I mean, we have seen kind of an interest in product marketing from our internal team. So actually someone on our team is now in product marketing, but prior to product marketing, she was in customer success. I think you get into a company and you learn the product and you really enjoy the culture and the people, and then you kind of see what this other function is doing. And so we've historically, even just since I've been here, had a lot of interest of what does product marketing do from a lot of the customer success folks, right? That obviously work day to day with our clients, really understand our clients. And so it's interesting. I 100% agree with you. If you're somewhere you're really excited about the company and the product itself, kind of find opportunities. And I've had people reach out to me like, hey, is there something we can partner with you on? Specifically from customer success. I love working with our clients. I'm getting feedback from our clients all the time. I'd love to see how I can partner with product marketing and kind of share some of that insight. So agree with you wholeheartedly there.
Yeah. And good advice for folks who, especially if you're on success or support or sales even, and you're curious or interested, if product marketing looks appealing to you, do not be shy about raising your hand, because especially it's those people who have that deep product expertise, deep empathy for the customer, deep understanding of who the customer is and what they're trying to do and where they get stuck, and like all the things you absorb naturally doing those roles. Like, man, like what a great backdrop for a new product marketer, right?
100%. And at times I actually think it's those people that come from those different perspectives. I mean, I think back when I first got into product marketing, someone took a chance with me, right? I wasn't a product marketer. I just was a marketer, but I had a desire and a real curiosity to kind of break into that discipline. And so I think kind of being really open to people that have curiosity, that want to get involved, is really important within a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let's, I want to talk about Popmenu, but maybe we can start, give us a quick kind of overview of what the company is, kind of what's going on there currently, and maybe how you got involved over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Popmenu is a full funnel technology solution. We partner with restaurants and hospitality groups to provide a pretty comprehensive solution. It starts really with your digital presence. We offer a fully hosted website. We have a now patented interactive menu feature, whereby which each menu dish on your menu is indexed separately. People can review, people can like, we call them pops, hence the name Popmenu, but really engage with your menu. And since those are indexed individually, obviously we all know how that can influence and improve your search and organic. We offer a online ordering component, which just surged 2 years ago when, especially all over the country, but especially in California where I live, our restaurants were closed for a good over the year in terms of people being able to eat on premise. We also offer a really robust solution of marketing tools. I think a really key piece of us is not only attracting new guests, but we know how kind of competitive the restaurant industry is, right? You can walk down the street and see 20, 30 different restaurants. So how do you as a restaurant really attract new guests, but more importantly, continue to engage with your guests, stay top of mind? When someone thinks on a Friday night, I want pizza, you want them to think of your restaurant, right? Not the pizza place down the street. Yeah. So we really offer these incredible tools to really help you engage with those guests and make sure they're coming back. Another feature that I'm super excited about, it's really passionate to me because I love what's kind of happening in the AI space, is we recently at the end of last year launched a AI phone answering feature, whereby which AI technology can answer those really simple questions that customers call. And where are you located? How can I park? Do you have vegan dishes? Can I make a reservation? Can I be put on the wait list? Really cool stuff happening in that space. That's kind of taken off, especially given the challenges of the labor shortage right now. So we just, like you mentioned at the beginning, we have a very robust product team. We used to have 12, I think maybe it's down to 10 or 11 right now, but we just have an incredible team of product dreamers, I like to call them, because they're just constantly thinking up new solutions to kind of help restaurants, survive and deal with the challenges that they're confronted with every day.
That's incredible. I'm looking at the website right now, and it's super impressive, the amount of just like services that you offer to your customers, the way they're all integrated, and the way that they're kind of getting so much in one package here. Like I imagine it's a really appealing offer. And yeah, love that about the like, what a test of like product market fit for a feature with like the AI, phone answering, where it's immediately like, I don't even need a demo. Like I can see how I immediately know how that's going to be helpful. Like I can immediately feel the pain point and it like clicks. Like, yeah, obviously that would be huge. Like what a hassle it is to kind of like answer the phone and like, kind of managing all these services. Very cool. I mean, we can get into more with the product marketing, but just like in general, it strikes me with such a unique audience with restaurants, restaurant owners. I assume a lot of these are like owner operators who don't, they're not sitting at a desk in an office all day. They're like boots on the ground, like operating their restaurant. Not a lot of them have like an IT team sitting around waiting to take phone calls to demo products. Like, how do you actually like go to market with an audience like this?
Yeah, that's a really awesome question, because obviously we're a tech company. We have a technology product, and we have an audience that has kind of a varying level of comfort or familiarity, or I guess ability with technology, right? So we really have to try and kind of meet all of those different kind of audiences. I think the thing is that we position and we message in such a way that we show the value. And I think that's really easy for restaurant owners to buy into in terms of how we talk about our product, how we show the value of our product, these like just slew of features that are continuing to drive value for you, drive revenue for you, but also help you engage with your guests. I think the thing that I always like to remember is, restaurant owners, yes, they're business owners. They want to bring in revenue, right? They want to stay open. But for the most part, restaurateurs got into opening a restaurant because they love their food and they want to share their food with their community. And so I think we always really try to hit on the human component of it in addition to the technology. Yes, we're going to give you this technology that's going to streamline your operations. It's going to help drive revenue for you. But how are you engaging with your guests? How are you improving that guest experience? How are you getting your guests to come back more and more? So we really balance the human element, which is super important to me in terms of like how we go to market with it. It's not just your typical like SaaS go to market. Here's this new feature. Here's the benefit. It's really bringing in the human component to help kind of pull at the heartstrings of restaurateurs who are our audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And such, like I said, I'm going through the website here, and you tell a great sort of like story of like the kind of holistic sort of service you'll get and all the kind of end to end from menus, websites, ordering, marketing help, marketing automation. There's been this like explosion of SaaS solutions for like every, pick one task in a business. You can find 9 different SaaS tools that do just that. And it's like, yeah, there's this great kind of story around, integrations and automation and kind of bringing, using best of breed and stringing everything together. And there's great tooling for that. And there's great people that do that. But and then it sort of makes the sort of world of, hey, the all-in-one bundle is like, oh gosh, that's yesterday's news. Now it's all about, point solutions. I've often thought of that as kind of like an ivory tower point of view. And that's easy for the big enterprise that has a whole team of people to manage that and whose job it is to evaluate SaaS and set up integrations and run Zapier and do all that stuff. As an example, my wife has ran a brick and mortar retail business for a long time, and they had one, basically, it's kind of like the business in a box they used, and it was point of sale, scheduling, appointments, inventory management, online ordering. Like it did a little bit of everything. Like granted, there were maybe more feature complete single point solutions for any individual one of those things, but just the ability to have like, hey, I've got one account. I don't have to worry if some integration breaks. I can, move data from here to here and have confidence that like, I'm not gonna have to like go log into something else, or like this new version of this software isn't compatible with this other thing. Like that is all like a deal breaker, I think, for, boots on the ground, kind of like mom and pop businesses, small businesses, folks who aren't just like answering emails and Zooms all day. So I think it's like a really, really strong value prop. And I love the way you all highlight here on your homepage, just like all you'll get in one sort of umbrella is really compelling. And yeah, kudos on that story there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. A couple points on that. I'm actually involved working right now with our brand manager on kind of some brand and positioning pieces. And one of the things we've sent out a survey to our current clients, and we're doing some kind of phone interviews as well. And one of the themes, like over and over and over, we were actually kind of proud and surprised at the number of times people said ease of use was the reason that they continued with Popmenu. Why they continued their subscription was the ease of use, the ease to kind of get in and update their menu, to manage their orders, to see their phone calls that were coming through, like that kind of one interface where they can do everything they need to at one time. I think we continue to hear over and over. And I think the other thing that one of the things we focus on is, again, especially in kind of the during COVID and post-COVID world, everything is online, right? Everything was focused on, excuse me, where you need to be online, where you need to be digitally, because people are in their homes and they're not kind of out in restaurants. And I think and we have solutions for that, and they're phenomenal solutions and they drive value. But one of the areas that I think that we include that kind of sets us apart is that we have these on-premise solutions as well, right? So we have this AI phone solution whereby which if you're understaffed and you have one person manning the room for a couple hours, they don't have to sit and answer the phone and answer questions about, can I place an order? Where are you located? What are your hours, right? They can focus on servicing your in-house hospitality, servicing your guests, making sure that those guests that are on premise, are eating in your restaurant, are having an optimal experience. Same thing with our waitlisting, right? People are constantly frustrated with especially where I live in Los Angeles. I mean, it's a given that you're probably going to go on a Saturday night and have to get on a wait list. And we have a solution that allows guests to put themselves on their wait list on your website and kind of learn what the wait time is. And so I think the fact that we kind of even in this kind of post-COVID world where people are kind of trying to come back in on-premise in restaurants and kind of just reemerge into society in general, that we have these solutions that help restaurants kind of focus on optimizing those experience in addition to everything kind of that we're doing online.
I know you were early to the product marketing. Maybe you're the first one to really kind of take reins of the product marketing function over there, it sounds like. Can you give us a sense of what state or lack of product marketing was in when you arrived, and kind of where your head was at in terms of, because that's the thing with product marketing, is like there's so many things you can do. There's so many sort of like attack vectors. It's like, how do I kind of prioritize? Like, what am I going to do first? Like, what's the 1, 2, 3? Yeah. What'd that kind of look like when you arrived, and how did you kind of like make that list?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'm a builder, so my team will remind me that I love building. I love like structuring out, kind of framing something out. And that's exactly really what we did. When I started a little bit over a year ago, there had been a PMM there for about 6 weeks. But prior to us joining, and interestingly enough, I was actually speaking with our head of talent last night on a call, and we were talking kind of about the origins of product marketing. And she's like, well, what happened before you guys were here? And I said, well, product developed something, it was ready, and they reached out to customer success. Yep. And so obviously, sounds familiar. Those of us that work in product marketing understand, like, oh, it's a good thing product marketing, and we have an incredible success team, and that's actually one of our strongest partnerships as we kind of built that function. So as we came in, it was just two of us. We kind of tag teamed on everything together, but it was really the classic, like, building the plane and flying it at the same time, right? So we were building out what the function looked like. I was building out I'm a big process person, but I don't lose sight of creativity. So I balance that left brain, right brain activity, but really building out the processes. And then I think the most important piece that I always kind of love to share is just the relationship piece, right? Really building those solid foundational relationships with the product team, with the success team, with the sales team, that to this day service that, this past week, we had 5 releases in 5 days, which was just an immense amount of, project managing and pivoting and kind of cross-functional and collaboration. And we wouldn't be as successful as we are today had we not spent the time early on to really develop those relationships with our internal partners, specifically product and success, customer experience, because those kind of early foundational relationships just allow us to tackle and pivot and push out 5 products in 5 days, or 5 releases in 5 days.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it's an important point to underscore, because that's the, that kind of momentum and product development cadence is kind of table stakes for product teams now. And we're always kind of celebrating product marketers like yourself who are kind of up to speed with that, and not, like kind of in lockstep with the pace of the product team, and able to get updates out there, let customers know what's going on. And, not to turn this into a launch notes commercial, but that a big part of the reason why our product exists is because traditionally, like especially going back to the on-prem kind of traditional enterprise software world, it was a lot of, we're going to work on stuff all year or for 6 months, and then we're going to, we're kind of tie it all into some something release, and we'll go out with everything. And the sort of the mission of the product marketer was like, how do we bundle up all the bullet points of everything we've shipped in the last year, wrap some thematic story around, like wrestle it to the ground to make some kind of cohesive story around it, and blast it out there, because this is our one chance to convince everyone to upgrade their maintenance contracts for the next 12 or 24 months. Like, that was kind of like the charge of the product marketer. And now with sort of SaaS and web tools and, monthly and annual billing plans that folks can kind of come and go as they please, it's like, that is more of a continuous job rather than a big bang once a year or twice a year kind of thing. So it's cool to hear the way you all have kind of championed that over there. Yeah.
Well, we're huge fans of launch notes, and I have to say, honestly, we use launch notes internal in platform to basically push out a lot of our releases to our clients. And so it's because of these continuous ongoing releases that we need to make sure our clients are aware of. That's our launch notes. That's how we use them. We're huge fans, honestly. Our clients need to be able to hear, because you know what, you only can do so many emails, right? You can do text, you can do, you really have to use a variety of channels, especially, I mean, all people are busy, but in the restaurant business, like these folks, these owners, these managers are working 12, 14, 16-hour days. And so you've got to be able to kind of hit them across different channels and make sure they know what's now available for them to use.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I'll make sure our own success and product teams get the feedback. They'll be happy to hear that. I want to talk a little about the role and importance of brand in product marketing. And we were talking a little before the call about that. I know you've got some background on brand teams. Yeah, just kind of open-ended, like where do you think the role of brand and product marketing fits? Often in organizations, like you don't think of the two, you don't put the two departments in the same thought bubble a lot, but that's probably unfortunate. Yeah. Like, what do you think, how do you think those two functions intersect?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I might be a little bit biased because I think I am a brand marketer at heart, and I kind of started off and I've run a bunch of rebrands. And so I really see the importance and value of brand, but not just as a marketer, as a consumer. I mean, I think of like, why do I go buy a new iPhone every 2 years? Because Apple's proved to me as a consumer, and this is probably not a great example because most people love their iPhones, or maybe not, but for me as a consumer, Apple's created this brand affinity with me. They have a superior product that I'm willing to pay a superior price for. For me, every experience I've had inside an Apple store is so incredible in terms of how they're focused on me as a customer, right? When you get your new product and you open it up, so much thought has been put into what I'm experiencing as a consumer as I'm opening up this product. I mean, what they've done, not just from a product development standpoint, and Steve Jobs was all about this, right? But the customer experience, how do I connect with that customer? How do I make that, like, I love Apple, right? And I could say that about a handful of other brands. And so I think you have to, no matter how good your product is, and it just so happens that iPhone, in my opinion, is a superior product. But in addition to it being a superior product, what Apple has done as a brand to kind of build that affinity with me is really a perfect example of like how those two work together. You can have a great product, but if people don't know about you, or you're in a very competitive space and there's a lot of brands that you're kind of competing with, and you don't have that connection, and we know people buy based on emotion and they rationalize with logic, right? So how do you connect to a buyer emotionally, even if you have a great product that logically is going to help them, drive more revenue? How do you really connect with them emotionally? Because that's how we make decisions when we buy. And so the intersection I see is just critical. Love our product. I think our product's incredible, but what really has attracted me as an employee to Popmenu is our culture, which I think is so infused in the brand. And that's the human component, right? And restaurateurs especially, we're selling them technology. They understand that technology is going to help them run their business. But again, there's that human side of it that as a restaurateur who, started making their macaroni and cheese one day and then decided they wanted to increase that into 10 other menu items and then open up a restaurant and bring the community in to share their macaroni and cheese. There's that human component that you only get from brand, right? You don't get that from a more technical kind of side of marketing. So I think they're absolutely interdependent on one another.
Okay, this is an incredible point. This might be my new favorite point in product marketing, because this is one of those moments where I feel like I had like 20% of like this sort of fleshed out in my head, and you just sort of like came in and lent me the remaining 80%, and now everything's clicking. I'm trying not to lose my microphone here. I'm excited though. Apple's a great example, and it's like everyone uses Apple as an example, great marketing, great products, all that, but so often, like, walk into any big tech company, SaaS company, look at a brand campaign or what they're calling a brand campaign. It probably doesn't have the product in it, and it's become like brand is, we're buying the naming rights to the football stadium. We're doing this big splashy event, or we're hiring the Black Eyed Peas to come do a thing at our thing, and it's going to cost $20 million, and maybe someday that'll be worthwhile, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, and then product is like way down here. So we've got this bizarre, like, everyone's just got this marketing triangle in their heads, and like, well, brand's way up here and product's down here, and never the twain shall meet. awesome example with Apple. Like, go to apple.com. Like, you're going to see beautiful brand. You're going to see beautiful photography and design and like the shadows and the way the light is reflecting off but it's all around the product. Like, I guarantee if I go to apple.com right now, like there's going to be 80% of the pixels are going to be some photo of an iPhone, but it's going to look outstanding. And like, it's brand marketing and it's also product marketing. I've used the analogy around like the window display at, like, if you're in Manhattan, you're walking down Fifth Avenue, all the high-end retailers, they've all got their window display. And Louis Vuitton might be selling a pair of boots, and that's the product. And it's like, yeah, it's a good product. It's a good pair of boots. You put their brand on top of it, and the boots that cost $100 to make, they can sell for $5,000 or whatever they can. And on top of that, you see the window display, and that's the catch your attention moment. The product's there, but there's also all the context and beauty and art and creativity around what scene are they going to set up? Like, everything from how tall is the mannequin to what is the texture behind them to how is the lighting done to every square inch of that window display has been like meticulously crafted to create an emotional moment around that product that makes you, the call to action is, I got to go in the store. I got to walk in the front door and take a closer look at this product. Right. And that's the magic of putting brand and product together, applying that kind of brand thinking to your product. And that's what I always say here around our product marketing at Launch Notes is like, we need to kind of create that moment where people go, oh, I got to step in the store and take a closer look at that. Right. And it's like, what is that kind of emotional moment you can create before that? So awesome example. And yeah, if I could go into any marketing org and lock two people in a room and be like, hey, fall in love in the next 24 hours, one way or another, it would probably be the head of brand and the head of product marketing, because I think there's a real magic combination there that most companies are missing out on. I'm super excited.
I agree, and I love your way. Yeah, I agree. And I love your example. And I think, like, in your example, it's wintertime. You're thinking, oh, it's getting cold. Not here in LA, but if I was in Manhattan, it's getting cold. I need a new pair of boots. The fact that at some point, maybe Louis Vuitton made a connection with me as a consumer, and I'm walking by and I have that brand connection, that brand affinity with Louis Vuitton. And I see this incredible video, this incredible window that just kind of, again, like you're saying, kind of touches me emotionally. I think, oh, I need a new pair of boots. It's winter's coming, and you walk in and you buy the new pair of boots, right? So it's this like connection of all these different touch points that really, like you're saying, brings together the product itself that Louis Vuitton made, but really the experience that they're creating with their consumer.
And it's one of those things, like so many things in marketing, it's like the consumer side is always like 5 steps ahead of B2B, but I think we're going to come into like I'm really excited for like the next couple decades of, B2B SaaS marketing. Is kind of nerdy of a statement that is saying it out loud. But I think there was, because of the industry we're in, we've had 10 years of a lot of emphasis on and it's like, hey, we're data people. We're building these systems where like data and information is flowing in and out. So there's been this like extreme emphasis on like measuring every little effort. And it's great. Like, you should have an idea of like the impact of the things you're doing. We probably overcorrected a little bit. And then these next sort of couple decades, especially as, privacy concerns, tracking concerns get more prevalent, like there's going to be, I think, a sort of renaissance of marketers who can sort of lead with creativity and emotion and back up with data rather than sit around hoping data is going to like make their marketing campaigns for them.
100%. I always say, one of my sayings is, and I won't take credit for it, but this is what I say all the time: marketing is like gut backed up by data. Like, as a marketer, you have a gut for what feels, for what connects, and then you're able to hopefully bring about, either have data or collect data that kind of supports that gut feeling. But it's that emotional kind of gut feeling that I think makes marketers really successful. And the other thing that I've heard that I won't take credit for either is that your buyers are people too, right? Even in the B2B space, right? You're selling to a business, but your buyer within that business is a person. So again, there's the importance of like making that human to human connection, even within, the realm of B2B selling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially the buyers more and more, I think we're slow to sort of update our buyer personas at a lot of these companies. And a lot of people think the buyer is like some stodgy 65-year-old white male who was, like who's reading the trade journals and can't figure out his email. I feel old myself saying this, but it's like, we have a lot of extreme digital natives, like most of like modern companies, and increasingly like you've got people at the director level at a lot of these companies who are, in their 20s, 30s, young 40s. These are people who have had, have had mobile phones, the internet, kind of consumer grade web experiences, basically their entire adult working lives. So kind of like coming correct and coming to those folks with like kind of modern, up to speed sort of like marketing communication, talking to them like a human. It's just such like a necessary thing to be thinking about, I think.
Absolutely. And oftentimes, I mean, I can remember earlier in my career where I was lower on the totem pole, like I was the champion for a new solution. Like I remember at one company, we needed a CRM. Mm-hmm. We had been using, Excel spreadsheets, and I'm going to date myself in Access at different, and I thought like we need a unified, right? And I was the one that say, hey, this is the CRM that we should, and kind of march that up the chain, right? And I've done that in a number of different instances. So like you can't just kind of hit that top level person. You got to really look at the people that are using the product, that are going to see the value, build that connection and that affinity with them, and then they'll march it up the chain to the person that's going to sign the contract.
And that reminds me, the best, I worked with a lot of, great folks at Atlassian and, some of the other, but that was sort of like the biggest org structure I worked with. And I sort of realized like the very best, like executives, VPs, like kind of very senior leaders have a lot of like respect and curiosity about like, what are the young people like interested in? Like, what tools do they want to use? What are they reading? What are they like? Cause they want to kind of like keep that pulse and know like, hey, like what do the folks in the organization, in their 20s and 30s want to like use, and like, what do they look up to, and what kind of points of view do they have? Those are the executives in my mind that have been the most successful, and the ones that are like locked in their ways, resistant to change. We know how that goes. So yeah, we have a lot of, it's funny, like we started experimenting on TikTok a month or so ago, and the kind of conventional marketing thing might be like, hey, if you're trying to reach like VPs and directors, like this is a younger crowd, where's the overlap? But we're kind of building a relationship and affinity with like a lot of people in, they might be that might be their boss's boss who ultimately we want to reach. But if when that person is in the meeting, asking who has a solution in this space, like, and everyone more junior than them has heard about us, then that boss is going to go, I guess I should get on board and learn about this launch notes thing too, because everyone who's, in their 20s in my organization has heard about them. Yep. So there's a lot of, that's a great point though. There's a lot of opportunity there to just like connect with folks as humans.
For sure.
I have two kind of fun ones for us to wrap up. I know we're kind of coming up on time here, and I think we could both talk about this stuff all day, but I want to be respectful of your time. But yeah, these are just kind of fun ones to wrap up with. What's a kind of piece of conventional wisdom, and maybe we've touched on some of it already. What's a kind of piece of conventional wisdom in your role that you might kind of challenge or push back on?
I don't know if I'd necessarily challenge, but more so just emphasize how product marketing is so different at every single company I've been at. And I was talking about this with a colleague the other day that, product marketing, as a product marketer, you have your core responsibilities. I like to say you're the quarterback, right? You're really kind of making sure everyone cross-functionally is aligned. You're your storyteller, you're your messenger, your positioning. So I think there's some real like core functional role responsibilities, but every single product marketing role, whether I've been an individual contributor or a manager, has been very different, just kind of given the makeup of the company, right? And so, for example, at Popmenu, we're a product-led company. We have a sales team. We have a large sales team, right? We have an enterprise sales go-to-market, very strong go-to-market function. But we, 10 to 12 product squads and a CEO that was an ex-VP of product are a product company, right? And so I think that dictates how I built the function, right? Build that relationship with those 10 product squads, build that relationship with CX, who is interacting with those clients every day. And sales actually came after that. Whereas before, in previous roles, like I was deeply integrated at a very, very early stage with the sales team, because they're like, oh, we need our decks, we need our materials, we need our messaging. And so I think just really being, when you start a new product when you go in as a new product marketer, really being eager and curious to kind of learn the internal structure, learn the internal organization, and figure out what's going to work within that organization, and not necessarily just like bring over what you learned at your last role, because I think it's different, and you just kind of have to really be open to seeing what is needed most from a product marketing perspective at a particular company.
Yeah, that is honestly great advice. I hadn't really thought of it, but that's one of those things, as you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, obviously. And I can think of 3 examples where I've sort of banged my head on that exact problem. And it also like really highlights the need to kind of figure out, especially the sort of cross-functional folks around you, like what are their expectations of product marketing? Like, don't expect that the sales leader at the new company you're at has the same understanding of what product marketing is going to be and what kind of things you're going to do as the sales leader at the last company you were at. Like, this might be someone who has a totally different background and experience with product marketers and a totally different set of expectations around like what that function even is. So really important to sort of get on the same level with the folks around you who aren't doing product marketing, in terms of like, here's what I'm going to be doing. What are your expectations for this role, or what's been valuable to you from product marketing in the past, blah, blah, blah. But to sort of like hash that out early, because otherwise you can kind of get down the road and, your sales leaders like this, I don't get what they're doing. Like, this isn't like product marketing I've worked with before, blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely important to have those conversations.
Across the function. Yeah. I think the same thing with product, right? I mean, the ways that I've worked with product teams in the past has been different. And so I think that it's the internal education, right? There's 2 parts to your role as a product marketer. There's the internal swim lane and there's the external swim lane. And the internal is just important in terms of educating, all of your internal partners on who you are and what you do and how you're going to partner with them.
100%. Yeah. Last one here, again, just for fun, so we can wrap up. We've talked obviously plenty about Popmenu and launch notes today, but I like to ask product people about products they're using or interested in, because, product people are passionate about product. Go figure. What's a product? And this could be, on the B2B work side, or just, something that's kind of on the consumer side. What's been something you're interested in or think is cool lately?
I'm really interested, I think, because I've kind of been really focused on our AI product. I'm really kind of just eager to see kind of how that, I think we all know that's where everything's going. That's where everything has been going. But just like the sheer amount of like AI related products that are coming out. I was a huge fan of Copy AI. I'm a fan of Jasper as well. So just because I'm a writer and I see kind of the value there. So just the really cool, for lack of a more sophisticated word, of AI related products that are coming out onto the market. I'm excited to test them, to use them, and kind of wait to see where that technology kind of takes us. That's very interesting to me.
100%. It's one of the most, and I obviously pay attention to new technology because I work in tech, but like, I'm not like, hyperbole. Like, I don't feel like I fall into every single hype cycle for everything. Crypto basically came and went. Like, I didn't make or lose any money there. But with this AI thing, is lately, like, it really feels like we're on the cusp of something. And just seeing all the conversation, it's been like most of the kind of conversations I've been having, whether it's, with kind of colleagues and like-minded folks over social media or at work, it's been like, we've even baked some of it into our product, and it sounds like you guys are as well. And it's like, what a killer moment. Like, we're in for a really exciting, kind of new chapter here. And it's going to be super fun to just see how it all shakes out. Obviously, for work and commercial reasons, it's excited. Like, it has the potential to, do amazing things to the products we work on and create amazing companies to work for. But then just like on the personal side, it's like, what a cool moment to be living through. Like, how awesome to be able to like use these tools and like have these, like, yeah,
for sure.
Very cool. How can folks, if folks want to connect, say hi, check out Popmenu, where can they go?
I'm active on LinkedIn. I really love networking within not only the product marketing community, but just the kind of marketing professional community as well. So I do a lot of networking there, just kind of engaging with folks, learning from other folks to see how they're doing things. We have a pretty active social channel or community on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, et cetera. So we push a lot of real cool content out there. In addition to kind of like product pushing, we have cool restaurant industry trends and tips and a lot of kind of insight into what's going on to that industry. So check us out there. Nice.
Yeah, definitely. We'll drop those links in the show notes. Otherwise, Sarah, thanks so much for being here today. This was super fun. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Blake. Likewise, it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Take care.